Thomas Green here with Ethical Marketing Service. On the episode today, we have Mark Struczewski. Mark, welcome.
Thank you so much for being on the show, for me being on your show. Sometimes we get confused whose show we're on. It's an honor to be here.
It is very much my pleasure. Would you like to take a moment and tell the audience a bit about yourself and what you do?
Well, I'm a productivity coach based in Houston, Texas, and I don't help people be productive. And that may sound kind of weird. Didn't you just say you're a productivity coach? People come to me because they're overwhelmed with all the things on their task or their calendar or their projects, and life is just getting the better of them. So what I do is I help them get their lives back.
Okay. And yeah, that is an interesting position. Would you like to give just an example of someone comes to you, what do they say? Are they like, because my perception of what you do is um, someone's watching too much Netflix, someone's looking at their phone too much YouTube, and they're like, I'm not being very productive. Is that a good, do I have that right?
Fortunately, fortunately for me, every client is different. I love that aspect about my job. So one of my clients, one of my best clients, came to me. They had a full-time job. They had a special needs adult sister they had to take care of, and they had a side hustle that they were really passionate about. But they were working from 5 o'clock in the morning to 11 o'clock at night, and they were so stressed out. When they came to me, I was able to help them compartmentalize. So their full time job, their side hustle, and taking care of their special needs adult sister. And what happened, they went from working 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. to working 8 to 5, and they still take care of their sister. But then on the weekends, they're no longer working on the weekends. Now they're doing their side hustle. And this is possible for anybody. You may not be able to see the forest for the trees in your own life, but I'm a big proponent of coaches. So whatever area of your life you need help in, go get yourself a coach because they can see things from a different perspective, and then they can give you help.
Okay. So, would you say that a lot of your work is sort of prioritizing things rather than trying to get more effort out of people? That's what I had in my mind initially.
Yeah, clarity or lack thereof is a huge issue with people. Matter of fact, the number one thing I talk to my clients about is what are you clear on? And most people think they have clarity, but when we start talking, they're like, I don't know what I'm doing. And that's okay, because the first step of solving a problem is admitting you have a problem. And so I wonder how many people who are listening to this conversation have clarity. They may think they have clarity, but do they have clarity? Do they really know what they want today, tomorrow, next quarter, next year? Most people, I'd probably say it's probably 70, 80% of people think they have clarity when they actually don't.
So how would we know if we're trying to answer that question for ourselves?
Well, the easiest way, the big test I will give people is to get a blank sheet of paper and try to write down your mission or your purpose or your principles or what you want to accomplish in your life. And as you start writing, if you start feeling a cold sweat, you start feeling your heart rate go up, you start feeling anxious, you probably don't have clarity, because I follow a lot of successful people and they have so much clarity. Now, I'm not saying they don't have overwhelm. If you're human, you are going to experience overwhelm. It's part of being in the human race. But it's kind of like, if you have clarity or not. But that test I just gave your listeners, that would really pinpoint how much clarity you really actually have.
Yeah, I can imagine. So if it's the case that although we're running around doing things, we actually don't know what we're working towards as a larger kind of goal or outcome. And as soon as you put people on the spot to actually do that, to write it down, then it's not clear, as you say.
Right. Well, I have a saying that you can be busy being productive, but just because you're busy doesn't mean you're being productive. Take the hamster on the wheel. I mean, he or she is just running, 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 but is it being productive? Maybe if it wants to lose weight, it's being productive. But many people, sadly, are like a hamster in a wheel. They don't know what they want. Because they don't know what they want, they're just busy trying to be busy, hoping that they'll be productive, which is kind of like not the way you should be doing it. You should stop and go, what do I want to accomplish today, this week, this month, this quarter, this year? And once you have that laid out, then you have some clarity. Then you go, okay, now I know my target. Now I know what I should be doing. A lot of people are trying to do without clarity. And I think that's a mistake. Once you get clarity, it's much easier to gain momentum doing the right things.
So we've got a good example here. So what are your goals, Mark, and what's your purpose?
Okay, so my goals, I break my goals down to daily goals, monthly goals, quarterly goals. Right now, because I recently just had a clarity epiphany. So I'm big on LinkedIn and I was literally connecting with everybody. Well, I invested in the coach who explained to me that you may be able to help everybody, but that's not a really good market to go after. The world. That's a really big market. So what I'm focused on is people who are in human resources, whether you're an HR director, whether you're an HR manager, and when you deal with people in organizations. Now I have that clarity. Now when I'm on LinkedIn, I'm connecting with people who are in the human resources field. I'm DMing people who are in the human resources field. And that was a huge weight lifted over my shoulders because now I'm laser focused. Oh, I'm in cloud AI. Okay, you're not my target market. I mean, I could still help you, but when I'm trying to build relationships as I build my business and brand, I'm focused on people and human resources. That's my focus. And my coach introduced something to me that I thought was very fascinating. He says the niche doesn't matter, but niching matters. Now, there's a little more idiosyncrasies there, but your niche has got to be someone, it's got to be a niche, it's got to be something you can target, stuff like that. But what the niche does is focus you on what you should be doing. So in my case, human resources. So I'm not going to connect with people who are podcast promoters or graphic artists or other coaches. I'm focused on human resources people. And so my goal is, this is going to sound crazy if this may sound like foreign language to people. My goal is to max out my connection requests on LinkedIn every week, which is about 200. And I just keep connecting until LinkedIn says, okay, you've had enough for this week. A lot of people aren't connecting with the right people. And we have to figure out who can we help or who do we need help from and go find those people. So that's why recently I deleted TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, my accounts, not just the apps off the phone. I actually deleted my accounts because I realized that everything is happening over on LinkedIn. So I'm devoting all my attention to on LinkedIn.
Okay, very interesting. So, if a listener or anyone in general is perhaps they've come to the realization that they don't have clarity or they don't have their goals, what do they do?
Well, I would send them to my website, mrproductivity.com, and we can jump on a call and we can talk about it. Even though my niche is human resources, I am not only focused on human resources. So I do have clients who are not in human resources and I can still help them. So when people reach out to me, I'm not going to say, oh, you're not in HR, not interested. I will still help you. It's just I got to target somebody. And you mentioned my life purpose earlier, and I'd like to talk about my purpose and my vision. So I dismissed the power of having a vision for so long, and then I recently had a coach that explained to me that vision is what drives you. So my vision is I'm doing what I love to do when I want, from where I want to be, and with the people I most want to be with. So every day I can go, am I living my vision or not? Now, my purpose, and this is something, if my parents were still alive today, they would cringe at this. And if you're the older generation, it would cringe. My vision, my purpose is to make a lot of money so I can help a lot of people. I was raised, I'm 59 years young. I was raised by parents who thought rich people were evil. You don't need to make a lot of money. They gave me the prescription of go to school, go to university, get a job, retire, and die. And I rejected that from an early age, well before Gary Vaynerchuk and Tony Robbins and Grant Cardone. Why do I want to do that? It doesn't sound fun to me. So now I want to make a lot of money so I can help people. Now, like, let's say the example I use all the time is, let's say you have a single mom who's got 3 kids and her car breaks down. And everybody at church or the neighborhood, they pass the plate to collect money so she can get a new car. Wouldn't it be cool to have so much money to go up to this woman and say, "Hey, I want to buy you a brand new car, bumper to bumper warranty, and it's going to be a good car for you and your family." I think that would be the coolest thing to be able to do. Instead of contributing $100 or $500, go buy her the whole car cash so she's not to worry about it anymore. So that's why I want to make a lot of money so I can help a lot of people, because there's a lot of people are hurting in the world. A lot of people need help, and I want to be one of those people who are helping others.
Yeah, I love that example. It is, financially speaking, it is more significant than my example, but it makes me think of I don't know, the single mom who she's at the front of the shopping queue. There's a queue behind you, and the card declines, and she doesn't really like, she pulls out multiple cards, and the shopping doesn't go through, and you can just, you can pay for it if you want to because you have the resources to do that.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a great idea. Now, a lot of people push back on that and they say, "Well, what if she's trying to scam you out of money?" I'm like, listen, are there people who are going to take advantage of you? Of course. Are you going to be able to stop everyone? No. But I think most of us have this little still small voice in our heart and say, yeah, I'm going to help. Don't worry about how, if the universe or God's going to pay, reward you for that. That's not why you should be doing this. You should be doing it because that's a fellow human being that is struggling, and you have the resources to help that person. That's the way I look at it. I don't look at it like, well, what if it's just a big scam? I think that's the wrong way to approach things.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. And I think what you've mentioned today is is going to be much more significant from the little tips, right? But if I don't ask you about the little tips of productivity, I feel like I will have missed something in our conversation. So,
Mhm.
in terms of the devices that I referred to earlier, eliminating your distractions, have you got any thoughts about that type of topic?
Yes. So I was born in 1965, and we didn't have the internet. We didn't have social media. We didn't have VCR streaming services, but we still have distractions. And I always tell people, with all the distractions, we start feeling overwhelmed a lot quicker. We feel a lot stressed more, to a much more greater degree and more frequently. So what I've been telling people, my number one productivity tip is, get up from your computer. We're spending so much time behind these screens on Zoom calls or what have you. Walk outside. Now, the act of getting up and walking outside gets those muscles going, gets the blood flowing. Go outside. Do not exchange from a large screen to the small screen on your phone. Go outside. Don't talk to anybody. Don't even think about anything. Just be quiet for 3 to 5 minutes. I call this a micro break. Now, if you're able to, like I work from home, take your shoes and socks off and walk on the ground. It helps with the inflammation. And you only need to do this for about 3 to 5 minutes. That is going to give you a natural energy lift so you can be more productive. I get a lot of pushback from people. I'm too busy to do that. I'm like, okay, well, if you don't take care of yourself, eventually your life is going to force you to take a non-voluntary break. You may have a stroke, you may have a breakdown. So gift yourself these micro breaks. And people ask me, how often do I take them? Whenever you begin to feel frustrated or overwhelmed, go take a micro break. Maybe it's once an hour, once a day, once every 15 minutes, but it's going to help you, because what happens is when you take these micro breaks, it allows your brain and your body to just settle down for a few minutes, and it's going to help you be more productive. So that's something that's absolutely free. Just walk outside. If it's cold, get a jacket. If it's raining, stand under shelter. But that's going to help everyone. It's absolutely free. I love doing simple tips and free tips, so I don't have to hear excuses like, "Oh, I can't go outside." Unless you're in prison, you can go outside.
Well, yeah, it is a good one. I was going to ask you, this probably not quite so simple, but I read on the site that you're an early morning person. So you're up at, 4:30 or 4:45 or whatever it is. And I also read that you're running. So you still doing those things from the productivity perspective?
Yeah, I am over 7 years. And when I think about how long I've been running every day, I've just, it's crazy. I've run at least 1 mile every day since August 29th, 2017. I'm approaching 2,600 days. I've run, people ask me, what if it's thundering and lightning or the weather's bad? I've actually run 5Ks in my house, which confuses the dog because I'm basically running up and down, the hallway and through the living room. But I don't believe in excuses. Too many people will say, I will go out and run if it's the perfect temperature. No, stop making excuses. If you want to do something, go do it. Stop making excuses. So I run every day. I do farmers carries every day. I do push-ups every day because I want to live to 110, 120 years old. And you can't do that unless you're willing to take care of yourself. A lot of people are abusing their bodies by the food they eat and the drinks and not exercising. They wonder why they don't feel good. Well, you're not taking care of yourself. So for me, I believe active movement, which could be running, it could be a treadmill, it could be walking the dog, it could be riding your bike. You should do that every day because that keeps your body in motion. And what they're finding out now, I've done a lot of studies on longevity, is that people, as they get old, we tend to get sedentary and then we have all these illnesses. Well, here's an idea: stay active. We've all heard of the blue zones. These people 95, 100 years old, they're out walking around, walking upstairs because they don't sit around watching TV for 8 hours a day. They're moving. And I would encourage people, if they really want to be more productive, like I'm at a standing desk right now. I'm not sitting. Try to make it a goal to sit 6 hours or less every day. Get yourself a standing desk or walk around. Steve Jobs was big on walking meetings. Don't be sitting down in front of Zoom calls all day because it's going to make you feel lethargic.
I think you have given great answers today. So, for people who would like to get in touch or follow you, can you remind people where to go?
Yeah, just head on over to my website, MrProductivity.com. Mr. is all spelled out, MISTER, MrProductivity.com. There you can sign up for my email newsletter, find my podcast. If you scroll to the bottom of the page, you'll find the two websites I'm active on. One of them is LinkedIn because I don't want to tell people to go find Mark Struczewski on LinkedIn. They wouldn't find it. So I put the link there. The other one is my favorite social media platform, which is going to blow people away. Remember, I'm 59 years young. I'm on Snapchat. I love Snapchat. It's a fun platform. So both those links at the bottom of my page. You go to my about page, find some quirks about me. I think we all have quirks. And so I've listed about a dozen quirks on my about page. And people go there and like, yeah, I read your this, that, and the other thing. And so just go to MrProductivity.com. That's one-stop shopping for everybody.
Okay. Well, thank you for all the value today. Have you got any closing thoughts for the episode?
Whether you're productive or not is completely up to you. So stop the excuses. Stop looking for the perfect app, the perfect phone, the perfect planner, the perfect journal, and just start implementing. So many people are learning, which is great. They're learning. But the problem is instead of learn and implement, they're learn, 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 learn. They never get off their duff and go do something. So if you want to be more productive, go to MrProductivity.com and sign up for my email newsletter or follow my podcast. Don't sit there and go, oh, wow, this is a great interview. I want to be more productive. Go do something. Action is the ultimate productivity tip.
So, great closing message. Mark, thank you for being a great podcast guest today.
Thank you, sir.